Now we've shown you how you can use phase prisms to create a power field anywhere you wish, and we've shown you warp-in. You can use these two mechanics together to create an army anywhere on the battlefield.
We are the Blades of Ire.
As you can see, StarCraft is still a game where large armies battle against large armies. Now our upgraded zealots can hold the line here for a short time, but they can't last forever against this many zerglings. In order to survive this attack, we'll need to bring in some additional firepower. And these are the Colossus. The Colossus uses his long legs to step down cliffs, and he has a special beam that sweeps back and forth across the battlefield. This makes the Colossus a powerful weapon against small, swarming units like these zerglings.
The Blades of Ire.
While the Protoss have been developing new weapons, the Zerg have continued to evolve. You notice these Zerglings are mutating into Banelings. These small, suicidal creatures are filled with powerful explosives and acidic chemicals. The Zealots have no defense, and even the mighty Colossus is forced to run in an attempt to survive. The Colossus is using our new IK system to step up and down this cliff. This is just one example of the types of technologies we're adding to StarCraft 2 to make the game look more dynamic. While our Colossus is very dangerous against ground forces, it's much more vulnerable to an aerial counterattack. These Mutalisks will quickly destroy our Colossus and go on to attack our base. We'll need to bring in our new air superiority fighter. This is the Phoenix. The Phoenix has a special overload ability that he can use to attack all nearby enemy flyers. Unfortunately, once he overloads, the Phoenix shuts down for a short time. He can't move, he can't fight, and he's very vulnerable to counterattack. In the hands of a skilled player, the Phoenix can be extremely deadly. If you overload at the right time against the right enemies, you may find there's no one left alive to take advantage of your temporary weakness.
Time for battle. Understood.
We've been doing a lot of work on our environments here in StarCraft 2. This is our space platform environment. You can see we've got some lovely texture work. We've got our deep sky there in the background with the planet in the distance. We've got some asteroids floating there in space. This is just one example of the types of environments we will be creating for StarCraft 2.
For honor, on the wings of justice.
While the Phoenix is very dangerous against small flyers, it's much more vulnerable to heavily armed and armored targets like these battlecruisers. The Phoenix simply doesn't have the firepower to break through that thick Terran armor. in order to deal with a battlecruiser squadron of this size, we'll need to bring in a new weapon of war. This is the Warp Ray. The Warp Ray does additional damage the longer it fires at a single target. This makes the Warp Ray very dangerous against tough armored targets like these guys. The same thing that makes the Warp Ray dangerous against battlecruisers also makes it very effective against enemy structures. You can see this barracks is taking tons of damage from these Warp Rays and is going to try to lift off to escape, but it just can't get away in time.
좋다, 외계인 녀석들. 그렇게 나오시겠다. 그럼 대가를 치르게 해준마.
The Warp Rays are very vulnerable to small units like these Marines. They simply waste too much of their damage on single targets, and they're quickly destroyed. You'll also notice that as these Warp Rays die, their debris falls to the ground and rolls down that ramp. This is an example of our physics system in action. It's just another example of the types of technologies we're adding to StarCraft 2. Now, with our Warp Rays destroyed, the Terrans are going to fortify their position here. Before we finish the demo today, there's one last unit we'd like to show you.
이제 적들은 프로토스의 진정한